Excuse me, do you have an ATM machine?
Yeah, around here in the box.
Preferably not chained to the wall?
What?
Nothing. This should be simple enough.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse finally came out and it turned out even better than I hoped for. There were a couple things that I wasn't a huge fan of that I can't really talk about to avoid spoilers, but I absolutely loved pretty much everything about the movie. So what made it so good? Well, there were a lot of things that in combination made a great film, but I'll try to break it down as simply as I can. For starters, the most obvious thing is the art style, which was very similar to the first one but different in several ways. In the first Spider-Verse movie, the visuals looked a lot more like a comic book throughout. In Across the Spider-Verse, the standard look seemed more tame, at least to me, although it did definitely still look like a cel-shaded comic book style. Personally, I prefer the new style because I think it took everything that worked about the first one and improved upon it, but some people may prefer the original one. I will say though, whether you prefer the new style or not, the visuals are intense and change frequently, which played a key role in my attention never wavering from the screen. There were a lot more abstract scenes with crazy colors and designs popping up and fading away within seconds, so whether the story was good or not, I would have kept watching just because I was so interested in the visuals. What really surprised me was the difference in art styles for the characters. There were a lot of new characters that I won't mention to make sure you get to experience them for yourself, but the couple I want to point out are Medieval Vulture and the Spot. These two only scratch the surface, but are very good examples of how art styles change between the characters. Medieval Vulture looked like he was made out of paper and was pretty much just a vulture version of a Renaissance drawing, and he looked really impressive. I don't know how they managed to make a paper character not only look great, but be completely different from everyone else and interact closely with others. There were a lot of things about him that I really enjoyed, but once again I won't say much else to save the surprise. The Spot was also really cool looking, but for very different reasons. He was more similar to the art style of Miles and his dimension, but his spots moved constantly and looked really good. I was very happy to see that each dimension looked very different and were really exciting to experience. It was kind of like Multiverse of Madness, but because it's animated, it can be so much more extreme with visual changes, which made all the difference. Before I move on to the story, make sure you subscribe to Nate's Media Digest for more videos like this, and don't forget to leave a like if you're enjoying it so far. While everything about the visuals were fantastic, somehow they managed to make the story and characters just as good if not better. The different Spider-Man variants, unsurprisingly, had very different personalities and made the movie what it was. A lot of them were really funny, which I always love to see with Spider-Man, but it seemed to me like the comedy was a little more active here than it normally is, but it was done really well and in no way felt like they turned the whole movie into a comedy. Altogether, the story was very cohesive, paced extraordinarily well, and had character growth that topped probably anything I've ever seen in a superhero movie, but at the very least anything I've seen in a long time. Now, this is a superhero movie after all, so I have to talk about the action. The fighting was fantastic, and the fact that the movie is animated made it a million times better. The scenes, especially with the Spot, are so creative and fun to watch because of the body parts flying through holes and out of others, leading to unpredictable outcomes. Although the story was very deep and fully developed, the action didn't suffer at all in my opinion. There were still consistent fight and chase scenes that did actually progress the story too and made the entire experience very enjoyable. They really knocked it out of the park, especially with how long the movie is. This is the longest animated movie I've ever seen by far, being around 2 hours and 16 minutes, but it felt like I was there for hardly more than an hour. I was 100% invested the entire time thanks to the perfect combination of story, action, and visual effects, keeping the entire theater on the edge of our seats. I was especially pleased with the numerous references to classic Spider-Man shows, movies, and video games that made it feel like I was being rewarded for paying close attention. It was definitely one of the most rewarding viewing experiences I've had in a while. With that said, I've seen quite a few people saying that this is the best Spider-Man movie ever made, and honestly, I would completely agree. With it being animated, the effects and moves that can be done by not only Spider-Man but also the villains made the action significantly better than any previous movie. The story was also much more interesting to me and stood out as a true masterpiece, so I would even go as far as saying that this is one of the best, or at least one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. There aren't many movies that I want to watch again, even within a week of seeing it for the first time, but I wanted to watch Across the Spider-Verse again literally an hour after leaving the theater. I'm beyond excited to get the chance to watch both Spider-Verse movies back to back and get the full grasp of the story. Are you planning on watching Across the Spider-Verse, or if you've already seen it, what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date with my videos. I'll see you next time.